Sari Pano Shango. Shina.
The Mutuash pay. Those who have where are Mary Alumni Association, who is representing the structure. 11. Where oh, hey, thank you, sir. Thank you. The dentist, Dr. Kumeri. All the doctors, you are welcome, sir. Say it again, sir.
First black orthodontist in South Africa.
First in our country. He is sitting not far away from his principal. I'll come. MDZ, representing MDZ. Where are you? Oh, hey, Rama Brother, you are welcome. There is a one who is representing communications. May we clap hands for the representative. Where is the representative? You are welcome. Former principals, I will humbly request them to rise.
The point I'm making is that the stranger did not believe me. You mean you were in the same class with the professor? I said, yes. He looked at me again. And at this point, I wasn't sure whether I looked stupid or somebody who did not go to school. The man continued to probe further. How was he as a student? Was he the smartest in your class? I replied, no, he was not the smartest in our class. But I can tell you this, he was by far the most hardworking in our class. There are two observations I want to make from the interaction I had with this man. The first is that Professor Marwala is a huge achiever who has a status of an academic superman. It is like one needs an affidavit to confirm that you know this man. Let alone the fact that you shared the class with him. For that you probably will require visual material. This is not surprising. For the people in the small town of Bethlehem, Jesus Christ was just the son of a carpenter. Little wonder his countrymen could not accord him the status of the Messiah who came to save humankind. Equally, the people of Munich, Germany, for the people of Munich, Germany, Albert Einstein was just some local boy who struggled with his matric. But in the world of science, Einstein is a genius with iconic status. Just like the people of Ginsberg outside King William's Town, for them Steve Biko was a university dropout. But for those who read his writings, Biko is the father of black consciousness, a powerful liberating philosophy with global appeal to those with higher concentration of melanin. So, we may not fully appreciate the good professor here. This is understandable. To us, he's just a boy from Tuchon, who, like many of us, studied at Liri. I want to plead with you to realize that he may have been born amongst us. He may be one of us in a sense, but he has achieved so much that ordinary people will claim the fact that we know him. The second point I want to pick up from the conversation I had with the men I was sitting with on the table is that the most crucial ingredient for success is not talent. Think about anything, whether you're a soccer star or music, the most important factor in success is hard work coupled with discipline. Marwala secured these great achievements that many speakers will talk about primarily because he worked extremely hard. There's no miracle or magic about it. He worked hard and it paid off. As for me, this is the reason we are here today. Today we are here to deliver a simple message to our students, who, as far as I'm concerned, are the guests of honor. If you work hard, you can achieve anything. Your future is in your hands. Never allow yourself to become a victim. Refuse to join the ranks of those who blame government for everything. Refuse to join the chorus. Refuse that negative narrative. Reject the self-pity attitude. With all its imperfections, and by the way, there are many, this government has made it possible for the poor to study. If you are poor, you do not have to pay school fees. If you are poor, you do not have to pay at university. All that is required is that you study hard and you can achieve your dream. The professor here is proof that it does not matter where you come from. You need to study. You need not study at private schools that cost up to 300,000 a year. You can study in a government no-fee school and still become a great achiever. The only thing that will set you apart is hard work and discipline, nothing else. Education is by far the most potent weapon to break the cycle of poverty. We are testament to that. And the beauty of it is that it is something you can do on your own. On behalf of the class of 89, we wish Professor Marwala well in his new role as Director of the United Nations University in Tokyo. Prof, you are indeed an embodiment of academic excellence, a testament of supreme human achievement, and infinite inspiration. Thank you.
Mathematics, first day in class, with someone Sovare. Debate one of our Goni. Up class your day, Sazan. After the debate, you will allow me. Class your day to the around. Bone Banaura. Santas would say, Ubiosika. Osana Tukarana Sanavane, Bono Livara, Road. The Matomania, beginning of the year. What is good name? Actually, the Hamam whatever contains. When I did who answer wrongly, but horror. But horror. Because you of this of ladies and gentlemen, Miri Secondary School Principal 1989, Mr. N.J. Muroiwa. Gentlemen.
The program director, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is quite a pleasure for me to stand up and speak or say a few words in this important function. Now, I've written a few words because I don't want to spend too much time. I am starting my talk with a question. How did I come to know Prof. Tshilidzi Marwala? At the end of 1988, my colleague and friend, Professor I.P. Matamba, who at that time was the principal of this school, decided to leave for the University of Venda to teach, amongst others, quantum mechanics, which is his specialty. I, at that time, was the headmaster of Guamasenga Secondary School. The then Department of Venda requested me to replace Professor Matamba. I accepted the invitation because I sincerely believed that they are requesting me because they remember that it was myself and the Professor Matamba who were the first science and math teachers at this school when it was established in 1979. On arrival, I met Tshilidzi Marwala and the class of 89. I enjoyed teaching them maths. The reason why I enjoyed teaching them maths is that the person who taught them in grade 11 did a fine job. I don't know the name of that person because when I arrived, she had gone, but she did a fantastic job. Because if you are teaching grade 12, you can't do any wonders if the learners you are teaching do not know work of the previous grades. It was indeed a pleasure for me to share the skills that I learned when I was a learner at Mpapuli High School. Mpapuli High School is the present Ramshiel. At that school, I was taught by some of the greatest teachers, amongst others, Osenson Makuma, Boss, Cecil Madisha from Pretoria, the man who would teach you to prove a geometry rider when you are in grade 8. Paul Kipila from Mukopana, the man who would teach we didn't have facilities. He would fill the chalkboard 3 times without opening the book. And I learned a lot from Mr. Kipila. That is why those that I taught will remember very well that when I entered class, I did not hold a piece of paper or a book. I would write all the problems from my head. Now, I was very fortunate I've been very fortunate to have had the opportunity of teaching very able learners. The class of 1989 is one of them. It actually reminds me of the class of 1980. The class of Dr. Kogunara, Dr. Renat Mashapa, Dr. Clifford Maise, Dr. Ratogwa, and Dr. Maiwashi. Now, I want to carry on to say my observations when I interacted with Tshilidzi were as follows. I observed that Tshilidzi is endowed with intelligence. Secondly, Tshilidzi had a passion for maths and science. In fact, in that class, especially the 10As, they were all very good. But Tshilidzi and Zubair were on top. Some people just say a boy called Zubair selling parts there. He was fireworks at maths. Zubair was fireworks at maths. Now, Kato has already pointed out one of my observations. Tshilidzi works very hard. I observed that he works very hard. As a matter of fact, he will definitely read some of the chapters before you teach him. I also observed that Tshilidzi was a persistent learner. Next, Tshilidzi has limited teacher dependence. That is what's lacking nowadays. I have never taught Tshilidzi on a Saturday or during the holidays. I've never done it. Tshilidzi, according to my observations, behaved very well. He behaved very well. And good behavior does not deviate you from your studies. Because if you behave badly, now and then you must go to the principal's office. That was not the case with Prof. Tshilidzi. Tshilidzi, from my observations, was a humble learner. But I was not surprised to see him being a humble person. Because from 1, from 2, from 3, I was together with his father, who is now no more. He was my classmate for 3 years at Mpapuli High School, and he was a humble Christian gentleman. I also observed that Tshilidzi surrounded himself with a very good friend. He surrounded himself with very good friends. And that is why, according to me, he found himself where he is today. It is because of those who God-given qualities. And to Tshilidzi, I say, I know, I want to say that, don't forget to communicate with your mother. I once asked her a question to say, is she not going to miss you? She said, no, I am already used to miss him. Because now and then he travels overseas, etc., etc. So Tshilidzi travels safely to Japan. Work hard. Retain all the good qualities that you have. Congratulations.
Dear Father, thank you, but Yana Yagafo. Yeah. That is for what I'm going to go. I'm going to go. I'm going to remove tattoo. Recordaka yo nerado. Erkowana wivo. Reintroduce MEC washu. Chine chipita yecho recordena na zoro chitawa chiko chipizwa nga bo executive mayor ba Membe district and municipality bale baba ko kansela Nyanguda DA musbachi ko tanda rupanda richiko wana luimole manga lufu
Thank you very much, Program Director, for granting me this opportunity to introduce and present our Honorable MEC, who is responsible for education in our province. Ka watu wabashu, wako lepapule, na mausi wote wale wapana, utamera mashudu, go Marwala, kabatende nabo nidiba reshe, uruba ona makono, ndawendu. Ndabona MEC ba Transport and Community Safety, Muliseimo Florence Razirani, na mutito wa mzimu muapostola wa Razirani, voda ushukupaza mushumo ngapanga hapa kava zvikufeni chikuvarumirisa navona. Kuna watu wanje hapo enda fauna introduce wa president ya Tamawambori na tunarefa chitaka sa Pembe district musi una products njingo rali ka uko hasho asone madokotela azone engineers azone professor maimote era fachi kuvuli wane refa urban tasa Pembe district municipality wano ka uko hasho kujeno chikoro na manda mbebe asato tuwezi mwana wote na chikoro aricha fese sorry mbebe uko baga momera wa turamera local municipality go councilor wa Rambuda na councilors zote zinarwana zopano ariko ubaresha go principal wa chikoro chino cha mbili chino cha tibea ni passport na musi ngauri Marwala kuja zori abantu ba just an internationalist but our own ambassador ka the first lot ngabone bakuyabone mwana muto bachiboto zori bachi rosha barinda abanga byambe zo Marwala nomsiba Japan bato de kumelisa bachirinda machero asia ora bato teori kwadi wana na kanzu zinonga zombaronga jakandira udin farisa wana bwambara kanzu zine zitobona rona mbaira uri ni mtu udewa mpaka lipio shango zombaronga bodokotera unkumeleni ngonori watu tuwana zwani ngena bakaone bo Marwala kuri rushakorashwi rutoni kwa manda ngori unabamwe wachirejera pasi marakeje na musi na principal bana bakoyo kuranga university neto wa university and paslo nisangwe kuresha machibeni bashuve imibane na trakonibizori metric class of 2023 vanei baba kudizvifa zvambi zveprao muchikwambonga dzimwe metric class dzamwe yuprao une rinazi products njingora program director. Of course, my task is to introduce to you, as well as presenting to this august house, a woman who needs no introduction to you. Our guest here is the face of education in our province. Umawungu Rururi Ramakara. The lady who I'm talking of is a seasoned government leader in our provincial administration. Voseva Kajim Shosupambana now, what the one councillor, Ravona Bakova Mayor Ramakara, Ravona Bakova Executive Mayor, Apakaweme District Municipality, Unachitanda Challenge, Nonelo Gokodera Chon. After serving in local government, she joined the Limpopo Provincial Legislature. Ndianepa Eva Donangiwa Baba, Speaker of the Provincial Legislature. Whenever Chifanepo, who Mabunguru Ramakanya, Modo Arusha, Badova MEC of the Department of Transport, Safety and Security, what we today call Community Safety and Transport. Yanepa Eva Shumanga Mafufu, Premier Vashu, Babano Sufana, Baba, Beka Chuduro, Unena Musi, Richambanga, Honorable MEC, Umabungu Ruri Ramakanya, Ravarichupambanga, Department of Education, because he's responsible for the Department of Education within our province. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in applause in welcoming the MEC of Education in the province. Funzo ndio nina kuona kushukuru sana ndikoba rambauri kawe na mayifi tutuweza abana banafundi ba class 2023 bado tutuweza na baby bana bapam uririwane kwa Marwala nchingamana riwane apaka all the continents zalipasi kuona Marwala wo bana rikule misi watu waokeba bo tangula zindele bakota mororeja kurichita kwa hapa na Marwala bachituwa bachia Japan Tokyo bachifuri bachidosvika na New York aniki musanda wa United Nations zvidiveja uri funzo kalipasi iko ku rangwa panda na Professor Marwala wemisi chikunali chao.
Executive Mayor, the Tomori, the Maccheroni covered forth. The Maccheroni Kolibua. Covered to say Ritomenga Ugonya Tabani, Cabo Gore, Papuri, Botoberi Bashu, Rerumed Serirosh. Sebotobere Bogore Papuli Tikoya Shuka Punzo Rori Richi Shika Pabembero Dodaravari Auna Shingaite Punzo Nakaskoro Zote Zindabahone Nisangwane Rakobar Melissa the GH Binga Melise Mushumsanina Ne Deputy Chairperson Washua African National Congress Limpopo for MEC, by Department of Transport and Community Safety, for me, Honorable Florence Radzirani, but Kochimira Namwapostora, Afunzi, for Radzirani, Navafunzi, Panevaku, Chimira Nabo, or Principal Hapa, Boba Amazabudi, Na Bafunzi Bote, Nakotia Shuboli Bebe, DJ Chipinga, Dirumelise, Prof Marwala, Anena Musi, Oda, Boritonda, Gauri, Prof, Boritoni Pazuguru, Rine, Sambiwi, Salimpopo, Musibachi Rambi Wanga class of 89, Vakita, Echichipinga, Mungo Obashivakori, I'm busy, I'm picking, the flight is about to take off. So, Boritoni Pazuguru, Rine, Salimpopo, Kuzuibuanga man. DJ Chichipinga remains a class of 89. vothe ve va dzhena navho. Prof vho tori vha tshi to appointiwa class of 89 ya vha i tshi founa i tshi ri vho MEC vha ḓivha uri Prof vha bva Limpopo na muhasho wa pfunzo uri mini ngauri vha kha zwa pfunzo ra mbo ḓi vha ri khou dzhena khalo. Zwino ndi khou livhuwa vho mamaila vho imela class yavho ya 89 uri a vho ngo litshedza ro vha ri tshi khou amba tshifhinga tshoṱhe. Ndi dovhe ndi dzhie tshifhinga ndi ṱhoniphe na musi ndo no vha rumelisa vho executive mayor vhashu vha Vhembe vha tshi khou takuwa ndi ra zwithu zwivhili vho executive mayor vha nambe vha sie vho committer back to school uri vho thovhele vha ipfe vha ḓo tou ri hevedza vho thovhele ngori a vho ngo tsha yavha vho executive mayor. Ri kha ḓi fanela u ḓo gidima na zwikolo navho vha tshi enda vha tshi motivata matshudeni ashu. Ndi lumelise kha vhomera vhashu vha Thulamela na vakhanselara vhoṱhe vhane vha khou tshimbila navho vha khou tshimbila na thimu yavho vhane vha shuma navho kha executive committee na vhaṅwe vhakhantselara. Ndi ḓe na musi ndo takala nga maanḓa u vha na team education yo rangiwa phanḓa nga principal vhashu Vho Lijade, vhadededzi vhashu vhane ngongo I'm very very proud uri ndi bva fhano nga mishumo ye ra vhona ni khou ita. Ndi dovhe ndi lumelise vha principal vhoṱhe na vhadededzi vhoṱhe asi vha khou ambara zwino fana. Ri khou vha livhuwa ndi vha vho farisani ndi zwa uri musi ndo no tshidulo tshi vhafunzi ri tshi ndi fanela ḓo zwi emphasize uri ndi kone ri hafha nga uri zwi sponsored nga maanḓa wana context uri Prof na 2 or 3 things that I should just say that I can't level to be under highway before the and the one that is always pretty. And my children are doing that municipal principal the class better things and great things. So Limpopo Prof Marwala ngaene omaiti enda vha khou vhudza rine roṱhe ri tshi khou celebrate vhone uri vha muthu ane ava a visionary ane a vhona destination before you can even start off. Ri khou ri farewell vha tshimbile zwavhuḓi. Nṋe ndo no wana thikhithi ndo no wana thikhithi yo ya ngei musi vhane vha tshiya uyo thoma vha ḓo ri vhona na rine ro bvelela henengei nga miṅwenda henengei Japan yavho. Mara na musi ndo pfa ndo ili kha vhathu vhoṱhe ro livhuwa hei ndi mulaedza washu ro imelela vheiwe noṱhe rine sa Limpopo province uri ro maker sure uri vha fara tshine vho tshi vhea ofisini vha ḓo ri humbula tshifhinga tshoṱhe. Ndi
vapfunzo kha vunḓu lino zwa zwino a ri tsha kala twa ri tshi khou mona thavha sa vhunga ri khou zwiḓivha ḓo vha na maipfi a mazwiwa ane a khou bva thavhani zwo kha ri wane luimbo lwo fanelaho
vo-MEC vashu, mahosi othe ane ava hafha, distinguished guests, all protocol observed. Nṋe ndo to takutshela u takusa thavha, athina na zwinzhi zwine nda ḓo amba navho ṋamusi. Ri ḓo ri musi thavha I tshi khou kunguluwa, I tshi khou gonya I tshi ḓa ngeno, roṱhe vhana vha tshikolo, mahosi, ra lidza mikululu, mihuvho ya pfala, a ri ye roṱhe, a ri ye.
Unojiamu kwa mkubezela mundondo. Hallelujah! Utombe. Shibamana Shasha. Daudi Andu. Kaka. Ausiwe Twero. Tobera Ngala.
She's watching the minute.
Ndi kulikwa Tshilidzi mushumo ndi reshe dzi MEC dzanga vo Ramakhanya khathihi na vhoradzilani khathihi na mufarisi wa vhoradzilani. Lisa Wibo, Executive Mayor, Wenengunda, Katina Meara, Meanga Warakuda, Lisa Wina, Wabore Kubanganya, Ona Musi, Ndibo Professor Tshilidzi, Marwala, Katina Mutawa. The Reshe was Secretary Manager, which was Isahangwi na veterani yashu dokotela kufarisana na vafunzi vote vane vavahone apa namusi. Isahangwi vo principal vanga vo lejaje na mamwe na principal a zvimwe zvikolo zva Sibasa Circuit. Former school principals dza pano mbiri nadzone ndiko dziresha. Ndi reshe class of 89 ya pano mbiri. Vone chitave na timu yavo nayo ndiko iresha. Vadededzi na vana va chikolo chino cha mbiri navo ndiko varesha. The all protocol observed. To say that I'm honored doesn't even begin to quantify the depth of gratitude that really accompanies gracing this set of function of Professor Tshilidzi Marwala. I consider today a defining milestone in a very long and blessed journey of our professor. We are gathered here today to mark a historic moment in the history of our country. One that knows no precedent. A son of the soil, a wayfarer and a pathfinder has emerged among us with such unusual impact that leaves us basically running short of proper ways to describe the ecstasy that has annexed our thought processes. Prof, let Robert Golden Papuli put his hat off as he salutes you. I will say this without equivocation, that you are our source of inspiration. coming from dusty abode of Dutun, you summoned courage to face fear. Your home background didn't hold you back, but propelled you to greater heights. You have recalculated, find new territory, and break new ground. Success is the achievement accomplished after battles and persistence. It is a dream, an objective, and a responsibility for achieving your yearnings and objectives in the method of a fixed direction. Success commands hard work and persistence. It isn't achieved overnight. Luck and lottery is great, but life is meant to be experienced. Sometimes the only way out of stress is through it. Face struggle to overcome challenges in life. Prof, what can we as community say on an occasion like this, where you appear to have occasionally outdone yourself without limit? We fail to express ourselves, yet we are resolute that we cannot keep quiet through it all. You have clothed your God-given wisdom and have shown your light from one of the all, the best corners of the world. One African of old once said, wisdom is like a baobab tree. No one individual can embrace it. What is even most amazing is that you traversed the longest of journeys without delays, yet without taking shortcuts. You demonstrated with honesty that the longest road can be the shortest way to a perfect launching pad. Africans believe that there are no shortcuts to the top of the palm tree. Indeed, you needed no shortcuts towards perching yourself at the pinnacle of knowledge systems. Yet you retain the very humility an African child should always immerse him or herself into. We all know that Tshilidzi means grace. We can only count it all grace to have shared you with your family. All the more when we now have to share you with the globe. As continent, as this African region, as this country, as this province, as this district, and as this community. It is not out of twisted pride when we say, you did us proud. You put us on the world map with a thud and a twinkle, and we have instantly lost the ability to count our blessings. Remember, you came from a place where prejudice and oppression had an upper hand through and through. Remember, you are not supposed to be educated beyond understanding orders backed out by the erstwhile colonial masters. Remember that without heavenly intervention, you are supposed to only understand what the words sprinkler, rake, digging fork, hosepipe, and pliers mean. Now you went beyond like an academic caterpillar without brakes. You shone your light, and now not only a corner, but the whole world can see. So much so that you gave us all a lesson that teaches us all the art of ceasing to look where we fell. Yes, from now onwards, because of what you taught us through your determination and your educative strides, to always look where we slipped, because where we fell is just a zone in history, but the place where we slept makes for an institution for life lessons. As we bid you farewell, we can say without fear of contradiction that in a manner never thought of before, we have gifted the world in you. We have shown that importation in our spaces has begun to be replaced by meaningful exportation. Where we have always waited for vessels to bring us generosity of the mind, our vessels is now awaited with bated breath on international shores, because all it shall be a gem of exceeding proportions. Where the world sent vessels our way bring us old clothes that were laden with smallpox, measles, and various other pandemics, our vessels to the world carries a well of knowledge and the fountain of loving kindness, without reservation. One mission is to give without taking. Our mission is to give without taking, to beneficiate without killing, to empower without an urge to enslave. That's what we as Africans are known for doing. Whenever our left hand embarks on a mission to give, our right hand does not always have to know. And if by some chance it gets to know, it has no sense of misplaced entitlement. Unlike others, you are not going to discover continents that have always been in existence centuries before you were born. No, you are going to share and to lift. Yes, you are going to spread the seed. An African old man once said, a young man who travels a lot is older than an old man who stays in the village. So by the time you return home, we shall be younger than you in the mind. Bear with us when you return. Ngaro damoni musindi chiyo bi. Ndichi angaredza ndiri. Rine na musi roda upembera na ukana sanamana yofura mkhaa. Dingazo ndichidori. Bazvifunana bahanyankwita. Vandeve dzamaparo. Zvototeya uri purunoni yahachibase nayahampapuri. Dziditongise ngairi lishakalandira lapfunzo. Hezve vazvisvikelela zvine vakoya vabasa wadziyunivhesiti dzaUnited Nations zvihumbudza nyi nanyi ane hava muvenda uri vavenda rivonala ri vatuku sarushaka pedzi mahadhani ashu rohwala rogagadhera henengei Japan vasongovuya vafanywa vadihangwa uri ndivone muvenda mubikwa ive lavibva muvenda asara nahone vasihangwe uri ndivone vavhonyovhonyo lavuna lamakwere vone vane namusi vonotova chibvumo cha mufarakure mutumbu wa mutu usiyo
iwo wachilala cha malokotana changa watinalula mandava lubi tulisivala mbeu
bo Prof Marwala
utombe
ndichitovina
kaka
liri mudzimu ovainga lovainga
buka kama mbele kaka
zvichidaka bhuku voila vaitoinweledzana mutoto
chiuru chamani
ndo lingedza u penda u nyago vhona hune kanga vhaswa ya hone phoso uri mudzimu anga si vhafhavho zwoṱhe
u thome
zwe nda zwi wana ndi hezwi vho Marwala ndo dzhena kha Facebook yavho nda wana uri na tshithihi tshine vha kha ḓi tshi shaedza
tsha u fuka na tsha
tshine nda ḓivha uri hu si kale vha ḓo vha vha tshi khou tou vha master watsho
tshindiri ya midzani bailwa nga shango thovhela wana
zwo buliwa nga vhanzhi hafhanoni uri vhone vha hard work
thovhela nga alala
ende ndi a zwi ḓivha uri na hetsho vha khou swika hune vha khou yo thi master
iwo wa tshinoni tinya ni wo tinya vhulingo ngelele
hetsho thome ndi khou vhona vha tshi khou lingedza nga maanḓa u fhufha khadi skipping rope nda wana uri hu kha ḓi vha na vhushaedzi vhuhulwane nga maanḓa zwino nda ri aha mudzimu a nga si u fhe zwoṱhe hu ḓo ḓi vha na zwiṅwe vha dzhene kha Facebook yavho Marwala vha vhone vha tshi khou fhufha khadi vha ḓo zwi vhona uri hu kha ḓi vha na zwiṅwe zwino khou ṱahela mara hezwo a si zwine zwa khou amba uri vha ḓo dzula vha khazwo vha khou yo zwimastara hezwo am rest assured
iwo u somola u delele nga tshipikiri
zwino kha 2023 class
vhugevhegevhe thumbuni ya kholomo
a thi vhoni uri no vhuya vha na maṅwe matshudeni fhano Mbilwi vhe vha ṱuṱuwedzea u fana na hezwi zwine zwa khou itea namusi
tshihulu tsha maḓi
hezwi zwine zwa khou itea namusi ndi hezwiḽa zwo uri maṅa a mutukana a si vhumatshelo hawe hoyu murero vhana vha tshikolo tsha Mbilwi kha vha dzule vho u talela
tsha u fuka na tsha wa
uri kha u ambe zwinzhi khavho
u ṱoḓa na mulingoni wa murero
zwino nṋe ndi khou fhedzisa ngauri ri khou ṱoḓa u vhona tshikolo tsha Mbilwi tshi tshi khou ḓi dzula tsho dzhia vhugalatenga hatsho
iwo mukhawulo
vhugalatenga ha tshikolo tsha Mbilwi ndi vhufhio the number one nothing else
tsha u fuka na tsha wa
ri khou ḓi zwi vhona zwiṅwe zwikolo zwi khou ḓi takanyela zwino ri khou ri khavhiwe tshikolo tsha Mbilwi tshi ḓivhelwa dzi 100% pass ni songo ri fhura ngauri ṱhamusi na ri vhanzhi ri vho swika vho 500 kilasini ṱhamusi environment a i tsha vha conducive
naye wa tshi tanda u zwi pfe
humelelani hune na tea u vha ni hone ni ḓo takadza vho Ramakhanya na vho Radzilani na vho Thovhele vho Mphaphuli
tsha u fuka na tsha wa
na vho Nembuḓa na mera wanga hafha vho Rambuḓa
tshivhavhala tsha shango
rice Mbilwi rice nga zwezwo ndi khou ri vho Profesa luvhone lwavho kha luṱulo lu tshi khou duga haningei Japan
tshivhavhala tsha shango
mazuva vapfa no fana matshudeni vho takala luṅwe na nṋe ndi tshi vha muhulwane ndi ḓo vha ndi na vhathu vho ima nga fhasi na nṋe ndi tshi amba hapfi iwe u no ri vuru nṋe ra ri ṱhaha ri khou we have less than an hour now before load shedding hits us. So we would love you to shorten whatever you will be talking about. As you know, Mbiwi Secondary School has the echelon of academic prestige. Reba Humbera, Dr. Kubeleni FS, Bade Bame Nari. By the way, Mushumo, you live on YouTube since we started.
Kombela baritu serume. Mwari wamba ngamanga. Ndiko nyago uri nisongoli hamwe. Nendani na chenda chitihi. Na uruku butihi. Dipa na chikoloni chichambili. Na hembe mbili. Racha mara urukubutu na hembe chenda. So zati mbili urukubuti chenda chichiti. Chenda chao nendando chiwana ndika standard 7 in the grade 9. Ndore ndoroka kotsi mnene wa muraku ya murao nani sinazuyenda. That's tombera permission ya uri nitenga mleki sinazuyenda. Because we want to Muslim Natswatir. Okay, let me not get off it. Mohali Koru. And I'd like to thank a few important people who contributed a lot in my life. Honorable Mayor Menguda was my friend when we were in grade 1. He used to give me a lift on his bicycle on a gravel road, so you can imagine how hard he had to pedal. And we would get tired, and I couldn't ride a bicycle at the time, and just pull it along until we get to school. So thank you, sir. And I would like to also thank the MEC and the department for making all this possible. And not forgetting our staff. He's very elusive, Mohali. I've been trying to meet him for past 5 years. This is the first time I meet him here. And he knows a lot about me. I know a lot about you, so, and thank you, sir. Arcelon comes from a French and Latin words, meaning a ladder, lay, step ladder. A ladder takes you to places you wouldn't reach. Biri is your ladder to greater things in life. It was a ladder for Prof. Marwala, and it was a ladder for myself. But it's not my time, so you will have to invite me to tell you more about myself. We started in 1978, and I was in grade, I have to think standard and grades now, standard 11. I was in grade ago. And I haven't been to the school since, so I feel like a prodigal son. The basis of Biri then was discipline, as you heard about it. And the man who instilled discipline in all of us, would you mind to rise? Mr. Leach, was my principal. And I still call him Principal Leach. I'll never use his first name. You know what that means in Venda. We don't call all the people by their first names. For me, he's still my principal. I'm 60 years old. I have my ID for in case you don't believe. Yeah. So part of Leary's alumni are pensioners like me. Okay? I am. We had smaller classes, and I think we were guinea pigs because we had just started. And when I came in 1981, I think they were trying to find out the model which would work for Bailey School. In medicine, guinea pigs are used to test new medications, especially if it's something you like, the recent one, the COVID medication. So we would inject or insert the medication into a guinea pig for some time, and that guinea pig needs to be euthanized, okay, killed, but I hope no SPCAs here. So it's euthanized, and we harvest some tissues to find out if the drug works or the drug is dangerous before we use it onto people. So luckily we were not euthanized, but I think there was a lot of experimentation going on. Maybe Mr. Leach can agree with me. I see him nodding his head, and fortunately it worked. That's why we are here today celebrating today. I must confess I'm a misfit. I'm not from the class of 89. I'm from the class of 1982, 42 years ago. And I still think Billy rocks. I've already talked about Mr. Leach. I know he doesn't like me to talk about it, but I had to say it. When you had a long sleeve, it had to end here on your wrist, or you roll it up above your elbow. So one time, I don't know what happened because I knew all that, I had it down here. And he used to call it a 3/4 sleeve. And I got 4 of the best on my backside by him in his office. And for the matriculants, I didn't take it personal. It was what it was, and he can vouch for me. We're still friends even today. Mr. Mloiwa, where is he? Yeah, we used to fight a lot. Not physical fight, but argue about maths and all that. So, and one time I made a mistake. So I used to sort of be the first one to go for him to sign. As you had, he used to write stuff on the board. So I'll be the first most of the time to finish. And then by the time he sits down, I'll be waiting for him to mark my maths. One time I messed it up and he was upset with me. He almost, sort of put the boot onto my face. And again, I didn't take it as personal. I messed up. I had to own up. I hope matriculants, you're listening. Mr. Leja, there was also, at the time when I was here, a people, we used to be called peoples, not learners, we call these things. And presently, you have more classes, more subjects, other than the basic sciences, and more learners. I think we were like 30 in a class, and A, B, and C. So that's the chaos we control when we count them. And everything is, if I'm wrong, class of 8. So that makes them basically class F. I want to challenge you. Mr. Mloiwa was the greatest science teacher I ever had. And I think he's... I had became a principal and eventually ended up at the head office somewhere before he retires. Is that still working? These typical promotions of educators, is it still working? Can't we change that? Can't we increase, rather, the salary when somebody is due for a principal to a principal salary whilst they continue to teach? Can't you increase the salary of the educator when they are due to go to head office to the salary of the head office equivalent while they can still teach? Because I can bet you, I don't think Mr. Mudoy enjoyed being at the head office. He is not that kind. So, can you look into that? Thank you. I have to rush now for the alumni and learners. I'll be finishing now. Personal success feels good. If your goal is to have 100 sneakers, a nice car, I'm sorry to tell you, you're selfish. You have to have a bigger goal, like Prof. Marwala. I have a bigger goal. It's not my time, invite me again, I'll tell you. It won't matter what car you drove. It won't matter where you lived. How do you want to be remembered? The learners are still naive and young, they probably don't know about that. How do you want to be remembered? Someone who makes some few reds, or someone who changed someone's life? I choose the latter. Prof. Marwala, Kosimnene, you've done so well. I'm very proud of you. I'm going to give you some bragging rights just today. I'll call you Kotsimuhoro, just today. And well done. Last one. Principal Lichade will probably remember. I used to be when I was at the school. I think Mr. Leach is very surprised and Mr. Mroiwa is very surprised. Who is this one now? You have to add on skills as you go on in life. And for all of us, as I finish now, may your success spills over your family and extended family, your community, and humanity in general.
Thank you, Doc. Marabongurayama. Kachipika kan. I'm worried with Professor Masongwamba Mugagasono Kuwa. It will be unkind of us as regards to Chile. So let's go to another item. The impact and significance of Professor Marwala's next assignment, and that will be rendered by the incoming UJ Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Lekhawa Mbedi. So,
thank you, Mr. Program Director. For a moment, I thought you were going to cut my time. And yeah, I promise you I will be brief. Botovela and Mahosi, MEC of Education, MEC of Transport and Community Safety, Executive Mayor, Circuit Manager, Local Mayor, Class of 89, former teachers and principals, Professor Marwala and his family, the SGB, sponsors and lenders, I greet you all. I'm not happy to have me here, I greet you all. Thank you. The Nigerian musician Fela Kuti once said, open quote, the African mind has a lot to contribute. That is the contribution Africa will make to the world of the future. An injection of sanity into the environment of the universe itself, close quote. In July last year, it was announced that Professor Tshilidzi Marwala has been appointed as the 7th rector of the United Nations University in Tokyo, Japan. The United Nations University is a global think tank and postgraduate teaching organization headquartered in Japan. The mission of the United Nations University, ladies and gentlemen, is to contribute through collaborative research and education to efforts to resolve the pressing global problems of human survival, development and welfare that are the concern of the United Nations, its peoples and the member states. But his appointment holds much more weight. Professor Marwala is the first African to hold the position. I think we should really applaud him. Something that is not often said, and correct me, Professor Marwala, you are the youngest rector of the United Nations University, is that correct? Ladies and gentlemen, he's one of a handful of Africans who have held the position of Under-Secretary General of the United Nations. And he's only the 2nd South African to hold such a position. This is truly a tale of African excellence. We can clap for that. To paraphrase the words of former President Thabo Mbeki in his 1996 I Am an African speech, to be African is to define for ourselves who we should be. Professor Marwala's rise to the United Nations University is an important moment in our history, in redefining our narrative, in challenging the status quo. This appointment is significant for the continent. As we consider the impact of his new role, there is, apologies, a need to reflect on recent history and the manner in which Prof. Marwala has emerged as an architect of the future, both in South Africa and beyond. The great strides he has made in his career are nothing short of extraordinary. They demonstrate the power of informed and decisive leadership. As Professor Marwala has iterated on various platforms, to be a leader is not simply to take up a position and title. His legacy certainly speaks to leadership in practice. Prof. Marwala's career is testament to excellence. In fact, the University of Johannesburg's rise in recent years in research metrics, where we are ranked #1 in the country, and rankings have been a direct result of his strategic vision and unique focus on the 4th Industrial Revolution and the Sustainable Development Goals. He has re-articulated the very nature of teaching and learning with a view for impact. These are objectives he will reimagine at the United Nations University in new and exciting contexts. It is no wonder that Professor Marwala has emerged as one of the foremost experts in leadership in the 21st century. His work serves as a powerful case study in redefining the very parameters of leadership. The emphasis on reskilling and upskilling alongside innovative initiatives speak to the emergence of a 4th Industrial Revolution leader. This is the caliber of leadership we need on a global platform. We are in unprecedented times characterized by great uncertainty, global upheaval, leadership crisis, warring factions, and startling rise in inequality. This is a world in desperate need of decisive and innovative leadership. Africa has often fallen behind, ladies and gentlemen. The global north and south divisions have grown in scale. What is required, to allude to Professor Marwala's own words, is closing the gap. It is an external institution making headway in these vital areas. I am certain that if we have any chance of a brighter, more equitable future, it is with Prof. Marwala at the helm. As the Kenyan political activist Wangari Maathai eloquently put it, open quote, it is important to nurture any new ideas and initiatives which can make a difference for Africa, close quote. Mashudu Mabuya, Professor Marwala. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to speak to the Mbili class of 2023, and I would like to leave you with a poem by Muhammad Akmal Nazir with the title Right to Education. Right to education is not physically but morally. Illiteracy is our moral death. For being illiterate, we can't educate. Soul rests in the body of a human being. So with education, without education, we are only human animals. Education takes us to the height of humanity. I am looking forward to welcoming you, rolling the orange carpet at that special University of Johannesburg. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof, for the enlightenment. Now we move on to part 4, introduction of Professor T. Marwala. Mr. Pesra Mabrana, please.
Good afternoon. Tawa Guru. Ladies and gentlemen, Madam Director, all protocols observed. It is indeed a great honor and privilege to be standing here to introduce to you a dear friend, a brother, and a schoolmate, Professor Marwala. His ascendancy to the pinnacle of academia and scholarship did not come as a surprise to those of us who know him well. The late American civil rights leader, Malcolm X, once said, "The future belongs to those who prepare for it today." The future belongs to those who prepare for it today. I can assure you, this future that you see today, I am a witness, and the class of 89 is a witness that it was prepared. Marwala always knew ahead. He always plans ahead. I can assure you that even beyond this accomplishment at the United Nations, there is something brewing for the next 5 to 10 years. I can assure you that. For those of us who are privileged enough to be close to him, we somehow have an idea as to what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. I can tell you, Professor Makamba, we don't have as yet a Nobel Prize for science in Africa. I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying. Now, let me first introduce to you Marwala, the human being. And I think Wotogela did mention an example of a human Marwala, because he is a production machine. I call him a production machine, and I'll tell you a little bit now why I call him that. So the human being Marwala, we first met in the grounds of Dimani High School in Standard 6, grade 8 today. And I can, he will remember, immediately he started arguing about who's going to be with math and science. And Umrewa, I can tell you, that debate did not last past the first exams of math. So it was settled very quickly. Marwala whilst most of us were trying to figure out standard 6 or grade 8 concepts, he was already dealing and tackling grade 10 concepts. So he was indeed a very hard worker, and still is. I don't know if the man has the same 24 hours that we do. I think his hours are a bit longer than some of us. I then learned later in life that his late father, who Alpheus Marwala, very humble man indeed, was also a mathematician. So the apple did not fall far from the tree. And we thank him for this day, for the preparation of this future that we are experiencing today. Marwala and I both came to Buri in standard 11. Professor Matamba was a science teacher then. We came here, we did not inform each other. We both found each other here in standard 9. Guided by the legendary math and science teachers, Marwala's star continued to shine at Buri. He topped it by winning the Science Olympiad, and he was sent to London to participate in a conference of young people who were excellent in science all over the world. And I can say, Professor Perry, I think that was the beginning of his international academic career. Upon finishing his high school, he received various scholarships, including a scholarship to study in the United States at Case Western University in the USA. Two of Newry classmates also received the similar scholarship. I wouldn't say the same prestige university in Alfred. It was Alfred and I. So we were with him in the United States doing our undergrad in engineering. To prove to you that Marwala is a human after all, when we arrive in the US, you will not believe me, I'm telling you it is true. Marwala delved into the hip-hop culture. In those days, donning the latest hip-hop clothing. And if you look closely on his left hand, on his left ear, you will see there's a hole that is quite close. He had an earring on his left ear. Marwala used to go by the name of Thief Money. That was his hip-hop name. But because he's a man who plans ahead, I think he soon realized after the first semester that Thief Money had to die if he is going to get summa cum laude in his mechanical engineering degree. And indeed, Thief Money died. And I can argue that had Thief Money never existed, it would have not been magna cum laude, maybe summa cum laude. Story for another day. So that is Prof. Marwala, the human. So to the learners, you are dealing with a human being. Yes, it's a machine. I call it a machine because I just don't understand the achievement. I was going to read his biography, but I think you can go to LinkedIn or the UJ website and read his biography. But I'll just give you the highlights of some of the achievements. He is a recipient of the Order of Mapungubwe, which is the presidential award for high achieving citizens of the country. It's a very, very high honor. He was the Dean of Engineering at the University of Johannesburg. He established the Industrial Advisory Council to ensure that not only you produce engineering students, but the engineering curriculum that he produced must be relevant to industry. And whilst he was doing that, he invited various industry leaders, including some from the class of '89. So that is part of what made his success, Professor Billy. And I remember I was privileged enough to be part of that Industrial Advisory Council. And what he has produced at the University of Johannesburg, if you read the achievements of the University of Johannesburg, in terms of increasing the number of PhD lecturers, I can't remember the numbers exactly, but it was a very low number of lecturers at UJ who had PhDs. So as part of the Industrial Advisory Council, there was a target. And they have more than achieved that target. I think today they're sitting at almost 60%, if I'm not mistaken, of lecturers with PhDs, whereas at the time when he came in, very, very low number. So he is a producer. He has produced several published articles, over 500. He has produced, more importantly for me, 37 PhDs. So this is the man who's not just about himself. This is the man who wants to replicate several Marwalas running around. Imagine we have 37 Marwalas running around. That's a very good thing. But of note, one of his, in my view, his biggest or his best produce is Professor Naramon, a young man who came to Marwala when he was at University of Witwatersrand, when he was the head of School of Engineering. And for those of you from the class of 89, you will know in those days, as a black kid, you go into engineering class, it was not easy. It was difficult, it was tough. The system was rigged, I'm telling you. It was rigged because you can't go and talk to the professor so he can correct this, your mark. But white kids could do that. But when Professor Marwala came to that, he changed that. This is the testimony I get from some of his students. And Naramon was one of those beneficiaries of his presence in the university. When he came to the university, Naramon was barely passing. And he took him close to him. He worked in his lab. And Naramon then soon got a PhD at the age of 25 in engineering. He is now a professor, probably the youngest professor. He is now the CEO of the National Research Foundation. That's a very, very good achievement. Beyond that, he's produced so many master's students and so on and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, I can go on and on about this man achievement. The main thing is that, as he said, he's a hard worker. Nothing with this man come by chance. It's planned. As I'm saying to you, when we are sitting here, it's already planned for the next 5 to 10 years. Ladies and gentlemen, can I introduce you to you, Professor Marwala, the incoming Rector of the United Nations.
The incoming Vice Chancellor of the Bombay, the Executive Director, the leadership of the university, and my pastor, Bofalisani. Bofalisani was a great singer. And I'm not going to try to sing the way he used to sing. Uyandalela Moya. And the way he used to dance. I'm honored that you are here. What Dr. Nkumeleni, I think, what Dr. Dr. Sunday teacher and the person who read Macbeth to us after Sunday school over a number of weeks. Our and our mathematics, the current and the past principals. There was my standard 9 biology teacher, I never met you, but my chief operating officer at University of Georgia, like Abisai Lalipata, talks very fondly of you. Mondo, Womatamba, my principal, and the head boy and the head girl are here. Wokatuma now Mrs. Chiwera. I think I installed you. Installed my Marwala is also here and my family. And in their absence, Jabulile, Katuchero, Tendo, and Denga, and also the rest of my family who are here. I am glad to be this secondary school, a school that is much. I spent 2 years. And is currently a professor at the Queen Mary at the University of London, was also a learner here at New. Tendo Sigodi, who today is a senior financial modeling specialist and was my PhD student, was also here as a learner. My PhD student and my master's student who went and obtained a second master's in Japan couldn't crack the entry exam to come to uni, but I am glad you are here today for the first time. We have nothing to fear but fear itself. So said US President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. My journey has been an exciting one. I have lived overseas for more than 9 years. I was in the USA for 4 years, where I completed my degree, magna cum laude Arwani, at King's Western University. I was in England for 4.5 years, where I completed a PhD in artificial intelligence and a postdoctorate at the University of London. And I was further in the United States for 1 year as a visiting professor at Harvard. I then worked for the South African breweries. I don't know whether that is a good or bad thing. Stop brewing beer and start brewing people. So said a voice which became my Damascus moment. I then left the South African breweries to become a professor of electrical engineering at first. I leave the University of Johannesburg in capable hands, where I have